Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan. I'm on the customer success team here at Buildxact, and I'm going to be taking you through this webinar looking at all the new Blu AI features we've got, explaining how they work, answering any questions, that kind of thing. Now, a point just before I get too far into it, on the little control bar that's down below your screen, you'll have a Q&A button. And as we're going through, feel free to ask questions of me. I'll do my best to answer them live as we go through. If there's any questions that come through that are kind of off topic or really, really specific just to one person's business, then we'll reach out to that person at the end and just try and answer it more specifically. First question, thanks, John. Yes, we are recording. We'll be sending everyone a follow-up email to this, so you'll be able to view this back again. And at the end of this, I'm going to make a few points around how to reach out to support and things like that if you do want to ask specific questions as well. Awesome. So first thing to cover is, what is Blu? I've had a few questions come back from some of the marketing where people are like, hey, I just don't know what it is. Can you tell me a bit about it? So put simply, anything that's AI based in Buildxact, we're branding as Blu. So we're going to go through 4 of those Blu AI tools today. We'll have a look at the estimate generator, which builds a whole quote off an initial prompt that you give it. We'll have a look at the Blu Takeoff Assistant, which when you load your plans, it will take the names of each page, it will detect the scale, and also it's able to measure floor areas automatically off your plans as well. We'll have a look at the Blu Assembly Assistant. Some of you who have been connected to Home Depot for a little while will have seen this one already because it has been in the system for a little while, but we're rebranding it as part of this whole Blu release. And lucky last, we'll have a look at the Estimate Reviewer, which is useful when you finish a quote and you want it to have a look through and check what things could have been missed, or really just give you a prompt list of, hey, did you consider this? This is probably useful, etc. Q&As, I've already covered that, so let's bring over my Buildxact account and get into it. All right, so first thing is the Blu Estimator. So I'm in an entry, or now called a foundation plan. The AI features I've got are switched on for this account. So when I go and I create a new estimate, whether I do it from the estimates section or from the lead section, doesn't really make a difference. You're going to get this template screen, saying which Buildxact template do you want to use, or do you want to use your own templates? We've now got this button up here for Estimate Generator. So let's go through and show you how this works. Now, at present, this still is on version 1. So version 1 focuses on remodels. We've instantly, as kind of expected, instantly got questions going, hey, when can it do a whole house? The answer is soon. This is something that the team is actively investigating and building. One thing that we will need to kind of solve before we get to that point is just the time it takes to generate. You'll notice that the remodels take 30 seconds, 40 seconds to generate. A whole house, we need to bring that time down so it can do it quicker. But yeah, short version of how this works: pick the type of remodel you want to do. The type you pick here, not only does the preset kind of blurb or instructions to it, which you can change, and I'll do that in a second, it also tells it the structure of the estimate. And I'm telling you this specifically because if you say you want a kitchen remodel, but then you give us instructions about a basement overview or overhaul, it's still going to do the kitchen. So clicking this does kind of set the type when we're giving the AI instructions. So I'm going to go bathroom, and I don't mind the stock stuff we've got in here, but I will tinker with it a bit. So it includes demolition, installation, walk-in shower, glass enclosure. Let's make it built-in tub, etc. So obviously change whatever you need to change. when you select the location, what it's doing, we're going to base the prices that we give you and the estimate structure we give you on your location. If you do what I do and forget to fill this out, it's going to yell at you anyway. So you can't forget to do this. But I'm going to say Austin, Texas. And estimate. And that's unfortunate. Well, that is fun. All right, bear with me for 1 second, guys. I had this running yesterday when I was testing it, but that's obviously not still the case. All right, bear with me 1 sec. I'm just going to open up a second account. If you do have any initial questions while I'm doing this, reminder that you can obviously send them my way. I'm sure there's some wisdom somewhere about never presenting things live. All right, let's bring this one up. Perfect. All right, so this is my test account. It is a pro level account. It has all the same AI features. So let's quickly run into this one. Bathroom remodel, Austin, Texas. Estimate generator. Perfect. Now, while it's doing its thinking, and I mentioned this can take 30, 40 seconds, a point on this, AI can make errors. Please verify your estimate. So we obviously, with anything AI, we have to give these clauses. We're finding that the accuracy rates within like the 80 to 90%, which is pretty good so far. That said, anything AI, like even if I was using ChatGPT to write an email, I would check it. So the same advice goes to you guys. If we do a takeoff via AI or we generate an estimate, do have a quick look and sense check it before you send it out. As far as what it's doing now, the steps it goes through, it takes this prompt, works out how many categories it'll need, and then goes through and itemizes everything in each of those categories. We're seeing so far people use this in two main ways. Example number one is where people are using this to get a really quick quote together, getting it to a customer, specifically where the customer is kind of interested but kind of not, and they're not wanting to invest too much time in doing the estimate. So that's a great case, I think. We're also seeing a number of users where they'll use this to generate the first, 2/3 of the work, and then they'll go and add to it and customize it. So they're using it as kind of the backbone of the estimate that they then build. Both are good, but again, do remember to be checking things as you are, before you're sending them to clients, as I'm sure you would anyway. All right, so this is just finishing up. This is going to send me into the estimate. It's left me a summary of the prompt I gave it, and I'm just going to show you through some of the parts in here, talk about what it's put in, things you might need to be aware of, and specifically what is this little little indicator meaning over here. All right, so let's actually start with something like shower. You'll notice that what it's producing is a mix of both material and labor. For my US account here, it is providing me Home Depot items as part of what it's giving me. I think this is great because obviously the prices are going to be up to date. I know that this is available. I know what the item code is. I don't have to do too much hunting around. The one thing I do want to point out before I get too far into this is it's going to do the tax settings as your account would normally do it. So if you've got zero tax, that's what it's doing. In my case, I'm set up for BC Canada. So it's got GST and PST. The one thing it's not adding, however, is markup. So extra point here, if you're going to give this to someone, it would be quite frustrating, I'm sure, if you send it out without markup. So this is definitely one of the things I would be taking a stop at. And if you haven't, I'm sure most of you have used this general markup down the bottom, but just in the case you haven't, what I just did there was add a 20% markup just to everything. You absolutely have the options of adding markup per line or even per category. My preference is just to do it once and kind of be done with it. Now, a couple of other things. Where it's looking up labor rates, this is where it will change depending on the region you're in. As I've kind of touched on already, this is really just a start point. So if you look at this and you go, hey, half an hour to do this, let's make it an hour, or hey, my guys are charged out at 75. You can obviously change whatever you need to change. Little bonus tip is I find that probably just because I'm a bit of a forgetful person, but if I'm making changes, I generally try and make notes as well. So increase to 1 hour. But it could be anything. It could be, hey, we're going to have 2 guys doing this task instead of 1, which is what the AI gave us. Awesome. If there's any questions so far, absolutely send them through. And if there's not, I'll be covering off this exclamation point here, having a quick look at what the quote looks like, and then we'll move on to the next point. So this little exclamation here is relating to the fact that there they are as well, that some of these items are 0 price. This is more a symptom of the Home Depot connection than it is the AI. I thought it'd be worth giving a bit of explanation. With the pricing we get from Home Depot, they provide us a national list, and some stuff, generally lumber related, is priced per store. So what it's trying to alert you to here is, hey, you should go and get the latest price to make sure that this has got a value against it. If I go and do this, which is this little get latest prices button down the bottom, sometimes there'll be a red alert up the top as well, just depends on how it's presenting it. If I go and do this, it will prompt me for the local Home Depot store. And I'm picking just the nearest one. You can see what it's done. It's just gone and bulk updated all the prices. Some of them were from 0. Some of them are price corrections where I, based on my Pro Extra account, get a particular discount on one item versus another. I think this is a generally good thing to be doing if you're working with the Home Depot, but doubly good if you're using the AI and you want to make sure the prices are spot on and up to date. Perfect. Quick push into the quote. And I'm doing this on purpose because as you may have seen, if you've been to the other one of our Home Depot sessions or watched one of our Home Depot webinars, you can push stuff into your Home Depot account at this point. I'm not going to do it right now because I want to show you what the quote would look like. And I'm thinking that this section is probably not really that new to anyone. If you've been with us a little while, you've likely made a quote. The main thing I want to point out is, one, I've been playing with the coloring. Personally, I probably wouldn't go with this green that I've selected. But the main thing is, if you are using the AI and you're wanting to present a quick quote, this is going to give you the majority of it. And as per usual with any of our quotes, it's completely up to you whether you show the line items or you just give a list of the categories. I find the AI writes reasonably solid little descriptions. So that is also a nice little bonus where you don't have to do too much polishing up before it goes to the client. Lovely. If there's any other questions on that, obviously let me know. And if not, I'm going to jump into the next one, which is I've got a hand up. John, if you could put a question through the Q&A, that would be awesome, and I'll be able to answer that for you. I'll keep pushing forward. Oh, everyone's raising hands. I can't really do much with a hand raise, so do make sure you put it into the Q&A, or if you can't find the Q&A button, the chat will do as well. I'll keep pushing forward. I'll do the Takeoff Assistant, and no question, no worries, accidental hand raise. Never mind, John, I'll clear that one up. But yeah, if you do have questions, reminder, send them through as we keep going. Awesome. The next thing to look at is the Blu Takeoff Assistant. So when I go and load plans, as I've done lots of times, let's go find this. You don't really care about my fishing licenses. Let's go do that. So I'm using a full house set of plans. When you bring this in, we've added this auto scale option. That will be ticked by default, and I'll go import. And this, as in the past, will take a second. I'm going to tackle a question here. Can you put items into the AI standard outline? Good question. So you can't, for example, change the backbone, the structure, where it knows that it needs, for a kitchen, it knows it needs appliances, it knows it needs flooring, cabinetry, etc. What you can do is ask it to include extra things. So, for example, if the client's wanting an incinerator, potentially called something different in North America, but the in-sink disposal unit, you could ask it to add that, and it would add it no problem. The actual structure at this point is fixed by us, so it's not as though you can make, I suppose, template-based changes on that. I would just be using the prompt to ask it for extra things. As mentioned, though, this is version 1, so we have plans to do whole house, potentially look into some commercial stuff, as well as sub-trade type work. So there's going to be more templates coming in the very near future. Awesome. So this, I'm just going to drag this guy out of the way. What it's done upon loading is it's gone and stolen the name off the page like this, which is awesome. I would have personally named it anyway. When you go to the page that's been scaled and been named for the first time, it'll give you this message saying, please verify it for accuracy. And what I purposely use these plans because I know this, one of the plans is a bit funky and triggers a mistake by the AI. But what it's doing is it's looking for this text, 1/4 inch to 1, 1/8 inch to 1, etc. The reason we say always double check it is if I go to this first floor plan, you'll notice it's 1-to-1, which is kind of odd. The architect in this case has done some details and noted that those are 1-to-1, but they've actually not given a scale for the overall plan. I know it's 1/4 to 1 because I've played with these plans before. This is just an opportunity for two things. One is if it finds just the one scale and not another, it'll scale that page to that defined scale, and that's why it thinks it's 1-to-1. The other thing is, in a case like, do I have one here? Let's have a look. In a case where there's multiple scales on the page, so this is a good one. It's got 1/4 to 1, 1-to-1. What we've done is wired it to say, I don't know which one you want, and just leave it as not scaled. So there will be some plans that are listed as not scaled, even though they could have been. The issue is we just had no idea which one of the different plan scales you wanted. As far as correcting the scale or adding it if it's not been scaled prior, same as always, you can go click on the drop down and select the scale that you like. So let's go 1/4 to 1. It's going to always, as previous, have a disclaimer saying, if you tell us it's this, we trust you. Make sure you're telling us the right stuff. And what we're hoping is that this will cut down a lot of the loading time, a lot of the naming time. And let's get on to the next part of it, which is where the rest of the time saving happens, which is around the actual takeoff stuff itself. So I'm going to let's use this one actually. So each plan page will have this Takeoff Assistant button. And if you click this, there's two options. You can do areas or perimeters. Typically, I end up doing both, but I'm going to start with the areas. And what it's doing, or the way it works, I suppose at a kind of base level is and this is pretty similar to how a lot of the AI, or also called large language models, work. What we've done is we've fed it a number of plans and with correct takeoffs done on it. From that, it then learns to detect, this is what a wall looks like. This is what an opening looks like. And it is able to then use this to scale. There are absolutely going to be times when it'll miss or make a little mistake. So I'm going to point out right now how to correct some of these. If I click on this shape and I use point edit, which is a newer feature we've put out, you can click on that and you can actually correct it. So in the case that it's not perfect from the scratch or from the start, you can correct it. It did miss this room, which is a bit of an oversight. So what I would be doing is going and doing a polygon takeoff for that as usual. One thing to note as well, and this is where we're going to continue to train the AI model. It's picked up this, thinking it's a cupboard. We have noticed that where the small spaces, like it's actually, like the chimney, it has no idea this is not a room. It just sees 4 walls and measures it. So one thing we're going to continue trying to improve on it is its identification of small areas, particularly around closets, benches, etc., trying to make sure it knows to include that in the whole room. So just to correct this one really quick, let's go get out of there, remove him, and do the takeoff as per usual. Note that even if you're not using the AI tool, this point edit tool is now permanently here. So you should be able to make use of that for your own takeoffs as well. Where previously I was using the deduction tool to fix things that I'd made mistakes on, you can now use this. Awesome. All of the measurements drop into here. I find I close and open this quite a lot because it can, I just want to move it and get more screen real estate. What it does is it reads the names of each room as well. So living area, if you were to do perimeter, you would get living perimeter. And it's pretty good at reading off plans. The only thing I have noticed is, in fact, it's done it here. There's 2 bathrooms in this, and there's no identifying feature for the bathroom that it can pick up. So that one and that one. Generally, if I was to do this for myself, I would try and add some text. So if I'm looking at the list of takeoffs later, I just kind of know which one's which. So I would say something like, which one's that? Let's go in here. Pro tip, I change it. I click the label of the one I want and change it here. I don't change it here because from this, I still don't really know which one's which. So I would say bathroom area off kitchen. And it's flagged this one. So this is off kitchen. It could be anything, just something that makes a bit of sense. So like off living area. It just helps. Perfect. Now, as always, any questions, let me know. But that, in a nutshell, is how the AI tools work. Or for the takeoff specifically. There's one follow-on question we've got more than others. So I'm going to cover it specifically. And that question is, hey, you've done all my takeoffs. Fantastic. Awesome. I'm going through the estimate costings and I want to apply that measure to a specific part in here. How do I do it? So let's say we've got shower, bath. What else have we got? Electrical, vanity, storage. I'm just for fun going to add a flooring category, mainly because I'm sure the flooring item's in there. I just haven't had a good hunt through to find it. But let's just say flooring. And right here, I've got this option to go, let's do a takeoff, or let's use the calculator. The calculator in this case is where it will list previous measurements and you can search through them because on big sets of plans, there will be a lot of takeoffs. Grab the one you want. Generally, although 1 times something does nothing, generally I'll just clear it out first of all. Grab that and equals, and literally all it's saying is use that measurement for this line. An existing feature that is probably worth pointing out again at this point is if you want to add a wastage factor or a rounding factor to it, or even do some basic maths for some reason it needs doubling, you can do that kind of stuff as well. And all we're doing is just taking the base measurement we've done, doing some maths to get this quantity number here. Awesome. Any questions that people want to ask? There's a chat come through. I don't see the blue button on my takeoff screen. Does this function only exist for some higher tier plans or account holders? Great question. So it's a bit of a mix. Let me just bring this up on another screen, and I'll, once I get to the right point, I'll show you it. Where are we? Perfect. The answer is yes. For some plans, it is included. For some, it is an add-on. Let's bring this over here. So on a foundation plan, you get the AI calculator, which is the Blu Assembly Assistant, which I'm about to touch on. On foundation plans, you can add the estimate reviewer. I'll just get this little guy out of the way. Perfect. You can add the items that you need if you need to add them. So this is the whole estimate generator. There's $99. It's partially obscured by this little label. On the Pro plan, you get the estimate generator and the assembly calculator, or Blu Assembly Generator, which is one we haven't touched on yet. And you can choose to add on the takeoffs or the reviewer. Master just gets everything. So yes, if you don't see it, you may not be able to access it. The best thing to do, if you're not sure about this, is go to, where are we, integrations. Definitely save your work before you do that. Go integrations, and there's a Buildxact add-ons area. This will list out what's enabled. Depending on when you've signed up with this, there will be users that get a small trial period of these tools as well. So come in here and you'll be able to start the trial. If it says plan upgrade needed, then that's well, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's not available on this particular plan that you have, and it would be worth testing out and seeing if it's something you'd be open to upgrading for. Good question though. Let's go back and tick off the next part of this. And again, reminder, any questions, keep them coming. So the next one we're going to look at is, if I go back to the estimate I was just in, which is this one, the Blu Assembly Assistant. What does that do? How does it differ from the overall estimate Blu generator? So this one here, the way I think of it is the overall estimate generator, the blue tool there, is really designed for the entire estimate. You give it a summary, it spits out a kind of pre-formatted template estimate. It's easy enough to then turn into a quote. This Assembly Assistant I see as more of like a specific tool. So if I'm looking at, let's just go, I'm in the wrong category for this. Let's just say drywall, including screws, screws, tape, compound. It's going to go and just hunt down those specific things. It also needs a specific measurement. So this is where you do a takeoff as always, or as I showed you earlier, you could definitely go, no, I just want the dining area equals. You can tell it, like with anything AI, you can tell it some custom instructions, add a wastage to the floor. And generate. It does have some suggestions down here. I've used those from time to time, save a bit of typing. It's basing this on the category title here, as far as what suggestions it makes for you. Let's go generate. And while it's doing its thing, I have a question to answer, and I also have some tips to give you. One tip is, because this tool is really focused on one particular part of the project, be it the framing for the walls, be it the drywall, be it the flooring, be it the paint, etc. I would try and keep the prompt for this very, in that specific kind of thinking. I guess what I'm trying to explain here is I've had scenarios where customers have gone, here's my total floor area, do all the framing. And from an area, it has no real idea if it's looking at walls or floors, and it'll give you an answer. But that answer might not be that legit for the thing you're trying to work out. So I guess looking at like floor joists and framing versus wall or rafter framing, I would try and do them separate and give it very specific instructions. Another way I've tried to explain this to people is if you were chatting to someone on site and you gave them an instruction and they came back with a question, probably means there was some missing information in there. So try and think of it from the recipient, in this case, the AI recipient's point of view of what stuff could it possibly come back asking questions on. Again, we've got this national list for Home Depot and it's flagging where some things are 0 that will need updating. We've already covered how to do that. So we're going to add that in. The only final point on this tool is, in fact, there's 2 of them. I like to know how things work. It's probably just how I'm wired. So I generally read through the assumptions and notes. It'll give you, how it's thought through this, how it's come to the conclusion. For framing, to use that example again, if you didn't tell us what the spacings were for your studs, it's probably going to assume 6" and it will make a note here saying that that's what it did. The second point is when you add this, you can add it 2 ways. You can add it using the regular add button, which just adds straight line items like this, like you would see anywhere else. You can add as an assembly, which is kind of where it gets its name as the Assembly Assistant. Personally, I much prefer the assembly way of adding for 2 reasons, possibly even 3, because I might think of more as I go through. The main reasons are I love that it saves the assumptions and the original prompt. So if I'm ever looking at this and I go, geez, I don't really know where this came from, how it got here, I can play a bit of history and go back and look at it. Reason number 2 is, and this is also a point specific to the Assembly Assistant versus the overall Estimate Assistant. The Assembly Assistant is just looking at materials. You'll notice all this says material, material, material. There is definitely talks on having this include labor now that we have the capability from the Estimate AI, Blu AI generator, but at present it's just material. And because of that, we've had a number of people use this as a shortcut to build their own assemblies. So they'll get the AI to do most of the work, they'll go tweak it, they'll add extra things, and they'll save it using the Save As button. This is a great cheap way to build your own assemblies if you intend to just reuse them. It's also good because the AI will give different results, not different quantities generally, but for example, if I've not told it what type of click lock flooring to use, depending on how it does its searching and which items it comes across first, it might give you tan color one day, and a deep brown, kind of lifelike looking one another day. So if you do use it for saving your own assemblies, it's a great way to make sure it is consistent in the assemblies that you're going to use if you have interest in using the same ones on repeat. Lucky last reason that I like this is the assembly gives me it gives me control over something that the AI assistants kind of do on their own anyway, and that is around the rounding. So right now, if I was to get rid of that and get rid of that, and this particular minimum and increment, which I'll explain further, nothing really new. It's been here for a little while. It's just got a new lease on life thanks to the AI Assembly Assistant. But what you can see here is it's recommending you buy 21 and the tiniest little fraction of the 22nd sheet, which is not practical. We need whole numbers, which is why the AI assistants use the increment to round it. They also use the minimum anyway. Honestly, I don't personally use the minimum that much because the minimum for most things is 1. The increment for me is more useful because if I'm doing something like, hey, I buy my drywall tape in packs of 6. something the AI assistant might not know. You can tell it to round it to a quantity of 6, and I'll just do that again. It'll change it. So if I go 5 or 6 or whatever, it makes it batches of that number. This is the other thing. I just like having the control over that rounding. So probably another reason I use the Assembly Assistant. Awesome. Let's go save and close. Get out of that. Now there was a question. Integration shows that I'm paying for the Estimate Assistant, but I don't see a blue button to use it. Am I missing something? And then next comment is found it. No worries. Glad you found it. I'll keep pushing on then. Awesome. So the last one that I want to touch on, I'm going to delete that, in fact, because there we go. I'll get rid of that. I put a huge number in there somewhere. It's pushing the price up. Last one I want to look at is the Estimate Reviewer, and where this is useful, what it's supposed to be intended for, etc. So if I use this, and as a side note, if you go prepare quote, there are occasions, depending on what your add-ons are, etc., that it will prompt at that point and say, hey, you've got Estimate Reviewer, do you want to test it out? If not, you can just click it down here. What it's looking for is some key info so that it can, what it's essentially doing is building its own mini estimate in the background, comparing it to what you have, and going, hey, when we did this, we added this item. What do you know, should you be adding this in here? So if I give it a brief description, now this was a bathroom remodel, including full demolition, etc. It will want to know the square footage, the floor square footage it's looking at. I know from when I did this a second ago, it's 110 square foot. Environmental factors. Now, arguably, some of these will be more applicable to additions or extensions or new builds than they will be to remodels. So note that you can use this on any type of estimate. What it's looking for is stuff like, are you in a flood zone? Are you in a tornado zone? Wording will be different. Like Australian users will see cyclone here. And anything else we need to consider? So tell it what you need to tell it. Go on down and then add any extra details. So this is stuff like, let's just say no permit required. Get suggestions. And what it then does is give you this list. Some of these are going to be very generic. Some of these can be awfully specific. So what it's doing is looking at the specific parts that it thinks should be there and asking you to check it. Missing permit cost, tick. I told it I don't need it. The reason it's flagging that is it has a mechanism by which it flags $0 things. So this was added as an optional thing by the original Estimate Assistant, but I never opted into adding some price to it. It left it like this because it just wasn't sure what exactly was needed. So I'll tick that off. Environmental risks, let's have a look. Labor hours excessive, floor category lacks detail. Look at this one. Specify material and installation method. It's picking this up because I added this and I did a very poor job of detailing it out. Hence, that's why it's picking it up. The idea is that you're treating this like a checklist. So safety measures for demolition. So it's thinking of like, do you need masks, if there's masks or suits or anything like that. Again, all it's trying to do is just prompt you for things that it doesn't think are right spot on, or things that might be potentially missed. This will change drastically depending on if you've told us it's a fire zone or a flood zone, because it looks at it with a different lens. The list of things that I've completed is still viewable here. So if I go, oh, actually, I click the wrong one, you can bring it back and bring it back into the all list, or you can look back at things you've ticked off. Essentially what it's trying to do is just give you a second set of eyes before you submit a project. Now, that is more or less the AI stuff that I need to get through, or the Blu AI stuff that I need to get through. I'm going to do my thank yous and prompt you guys again for some questions. So while I'm doing my wrap up, if a question comes through, I'll quickly answer it. If you do think of a question, as soon as the session ends, it's pretty usual, it's pretty normal. You are more than fine to reply to the email follow-up that we're going to send to you anyway. So yeah, my thanks to you guys for making some time in your day to what is probably a pretty busy day to come and learn about the new features we've got. As always, we're available via, go back to my account over here. As always, we're available via this need help button. And you can reach out to us, you can book time with us, you can ask us questions, etc. So reminder that we don't really know that you need help unless you reach out. So please do reach out if you need something. Other than that, I'll wrap it up. And thanks again. Have a great rest of your day. Reach out to us with any further questions. Have a good one. Thanks a lot.